Hey everybody, welcome to the Body Combat Technique Tips webinar and discussion. So great to be with you guys today to talk about body combat as a format, the different movements that we do, the kind of different martial arts styles that are included and inspired for our body combat class. And then also I'll give you some insights into the benefits of the class and a little bit about my journey in this format too. So for what is body combat, if you haven't taken it before, I've got a few notes over here, so I'm referring to. Body combat is 55 minutes of mixed martial arts inspired training. So we pull from multiple disciplines and styles of martial arts to get a great cardio workout, a great core workout. And overall, it's a really good stress reliever. It's really fun. We have energizing music. So you get a lot within that 55 minutes. For the class. We do a series of upper and lower body exercises that are pulled from different martial arts, different styles, and catered to a group fitness class setting. So if you are familiar with, if you've done, karate or taekwondo when you were younger, or capoeira, or any boxing or kickboxing, you will see many similarities from those different disciplines. So we have a series of movements that we do in our class, like I mentioned, both for the upper body and for the lower body. When it comes to our upper body movements, a lot of the traditional boxing movements that you might know, the jab, cross, hook, the uppercut. We also have some elbows, which are featured in Muay Thai. And then for the lower body, we have front kicks, back kicks, side kicks, roundhouse kicks. We also have knees, which you would see a lot in a kickboxing or Muay Thai class. And then for capoeira movements, we have what's called an esquiva and also what's called the jenga. So movements that you'd see if you've ever been to Brazil or even taken a capoeira class, you will see these movements in a similar fashion. And so we'll kind of unpack all of these movements. So I'm gonna actually get up and demo these for you. Normally when we're in a combat class, we're doing this set to music, but when it's not set to music, what you can do is just really slow it down, practice where you want your strike to start and finish, practicing your guard position, practicing how you shift your weight when you move. That all plays a big role in moving smoothly and efficiently. And then also how you engage your core and your legs. So especially when we're doing our upper body strikes, we can't forget about the legs because they're the power generator. The power starts from the ground, comes up, we harness it in the core, and then it translates into our upper body. So let's give a few a try and definitely practice these, slowing it down a little bit and just kind of taking a few on each side and really getting the foundation of all the movements, because then when you add the speed, when you add the energy of the music, it will create a whole new feeling for when you are doing your body combat class. So I'm going to demo a few for you. I'm just going to adjust my screen a little bit as I step back here and move my chair. So we have a few different positions we use in body combat for our stances. In boxing, if you are familiar with it or have done it before, you'll traditionally train on one side, and that's usually based on which hand you right with. Right behind it, left as a southpaw. So that's how you would normally or we directly forward. And what you would do is step your left foot back and out. I'm just going to move this back a little bit here. There we go. So what you would do is step your foot back and out, just like this. This is your right stance because your right arm and right leg are forward. And then we would do the same for the left. And if we're in front stance, our feet are a little bit wider than our hips, knees are soft, and guards up high. So for the jab, you'll reach your arm long and forward and bring it back to your face. You want to go right to the nose, and you want to feel a little bit of rotation and a little weight shift forward. From the side, the long extension, and we bring it back. For the cross, same idea, but we get more power because we're using the back leg. So we drive forward and bring it back. So there's going to be a lot more energy that you feel in the cross. You want to release the back heel so that way you get that added power and you'll feel that energy transfer. Same target as the jab. For the hook, really, really important to release the front heel as you turn. So what you want to do, keep the guards up high. Elbow bend is 90 degrees. Keep the elbow to shoulder level and see how I turn. Lifting my heel, turning my hip inward, just like this. Same for a back hook, same idea. We engage the obliques when we do that. And then in the upper body, we engage the post delt, the back of the shoulder. With the uppercut, we drop the shoulder down and forward. So from the side view, you want to keep the arm bent at 45 degrees. That's really, really key. The uppercut, like the hook, are called short levered punches because our arms aren't fully extended. Down and forward. That's the shoulder. The fist goes up and back, up and back. Keep your elbow in by your rib cage. Same idea if you're on the back. You will feel this a lot into your obliques because we are rotating, just like in the hook. So practice a few of those and get that idea of really using your legs, your hips, and your core, especially when the punch is a short lever punch. Really makes a difference. It's going to actually be also more for safety too, protecting your knees and giving you a nice fluid motion. When you add speed to your uppercuts, your shoulders make a figure eight. So you feel that down and forward. That's the rhythm you want to go for. Even when you practice it slow and then you build, same idea. Uppercut can be a little tricky. I'll be honest, it was one that took me some time to get to make sure that I was getting that fluid motion down and also the elbows in. So here's a side view. My elbows always are in right by the ribs. Really, really important. So those are the four main boxing strikes you will see. And we put them together, we make them into combinations, and it makes for a really fun, engaging, and stimulating, both physically and mentally, workout. Now here's the elbows. The elbows come from Muay Thai, because in Muay Thai, it's close quarter combat. That's where it's inspired from. And in Muay Thai, I'll talk about that in a minute, it's called the art of 8 limbs, because we have fists, elbows, knees, and feet. With the Muay Thai guard, it's a little different than the boxing guard, the one we just did. Muay Thai guard, hands are relaxed and elbows in. You're protecting your temple. That's the idea. That's where it's inspired from. So hands are soft because that's going to let the elbow move seamlessly. The triple elbow, we see this a lot in our Muay Thai tracks. One of my favorite Muay Thai moves because it's similar to the hook, which is one of my favorite punches to do from a boxing track. So what you'll do, instead of using your fist and going towards the jaw, You're going to use your elbow. Relax the hand and make 3 elbows. 3, 2, 1. And you want to count each elbow. Hand is soft, so elbow is swift. Same idea. We have to release the heel, turn the hip in, and elbow to shoulder level, really waking up the back of the shoulder. So that's the triple. We have a descend and an ascend. In the descend elbow, you're going down on a diagonal. In an ascend, you are going upward and vertical. In the descend elbow, you want to make sure you are using your shoulders to begin, but it's core powered. So that's a really important thing. Again, hands are soft, nice and mobile through the shoulders. Down and back. That's the descend. You're coming across and down. And so you'll really feel your cross-body muscles, your obliques, all tapping in. The ascend elbow is a vertical strike. Using edge of the elbow, coming up. Your hand will finish at the base of the neck. So you come, again, hand soft, and you open up. So really important to use that openness of the shoulders and power of the core here in these elbows. So these are 3 elbows that you'll see in a Muay Thai track in lots of different ways. We also have in Muay Thai, in kickboxing, and some of our tracks that are more lower body focused, the knee. So the knee can be done almost like a march, or it can be done with a little bit of a bounce for a cardio effect. So what that means is you could be here, or here. So you have 2 ways to do it. Still think of it as a great core exercise. One knee is like doing 2 crunches on the floor. So you get more core engagement, more bang for your buck. So it's a really efficient kind of movement. One thing to make the knee really efficient when you move is to point your toe to the floor and bring the heel in close to the glute. That really requires a lot of core engagement here to get that motion happening. Hands start high, bring them to the outer side of the hip. I like to say it's like you're trying to buckle your seatbelt. If you're doing the bounce option, knees are soft. So those are your knees. You'll see them in lots of different combinations with our lower body tracks as well as Muay Thai. Now the kicks, front kicks. You can be square. Traditionally we are. When we do a front kick, sometimes you'll be in one of your stances. With the front kicks, you want to bend your standing knee and you're going to lift and extend. So this is the side view. You strike with the ball of your foot and you bring the heel back into the glute. And you swing this arm for additional power. You also want to lean to let the hip lead. We lean back a little bit, core is always on, and we bring it back. So remember that bringing the heel in, really important for a full kick. For the back kick, I will do this one from the side so you can see the path and positioning of the feet. So from the side, you tip from your hip, heel in, push, in, down. Heel is up, toe points to the floor, and it's glute driven. We use the stabilizers as a standing leg for balance. And then take a peek over your shoulder and just see where you're kicking. especially when we're in the studios, around people, or even in your home. You don't want to kick any of your furniture. So make sure you take a little peek over your shoulder to see where you kick. You don't have to kick high in any of the kicks. You can build power by kicking low. Next, side kick. Place your standing leg down, bring the knee in, push, in, and down. Heel is up, toe points down, and think of using the edge of your foot to get your foot through the air. But the power comes through the heel. So it's a glute-driven kick. So back kicks and side kicks, really glute focused. Show you on the other side. See how I bend my knee? I get some balance and stability. I use my core, bring in my knee, push it out, in and down. The idea is heel is up and toe is down. If you're just starting to learn these kicks, totally cool to practice using a wall. Knee in, push, in, down. And just practice over and over. And remember, you don't have to kick super high. You can kick from a grounded position, and it's great for the legs. That wall drill, really powerful. Reminds me of my swimming days when we would hang onto the wall and learn how to kick. So really powerful tool to just practice and get the repetitions. Roundhouse kick. Traditionally, we do them facing towards the front of the room. So you'll plant your foot down, back foot down. You lean into that standing leg, heel in, kick, in, down. You can use the shin or when you got your sneakers on, the shoelaces as your strike surface. Again, don't have to kick high. You want to draw a semicircle with your leg. Draw a little arc with the leg. So again, you can practice low to build. The wall drill, really good here too. You lift. And you want to keep your leg on that same path. So from the front, kick out and see how my leg stays level. That's what you want to focus on. Leveling the leg. That means you'll really get full stability and power through the kick. So those are the major kicks we'll see in a body combat class. For capoeira, a little bit more of a special track that we do because it includes kicks. It includes defensive moves as well. So the Jenga, I mentioned that one earlier. You're drawing a triangle with your feet. Step back, step back. Make sure your legs are always parallel when you get to this point. If you cross them over, you lose your balance. And when we're moving to the beat, we want to keep that balance. So that's really key. The esquiva, translated, it means escape because you are escaping a kick. So when we do them to the side, I'm going to adjust this just one more time here. When we do the esquiva, especially to the side, we can turn like this. Sometimes you'll see a reach, but what's important is your back foot is all the way down. Like you want it to almost feel super glue. The edge of the foot, sole of the foot, heel, toes, they're all down. You can turn or be here. Just depends on our song. Same idea. You would step from the lunge out and reach. If you want to stay more up, you can do that too. So that's the esquiva. Really, really cool movement because it shows you a defensive move. A lot of those other strikes we've done, we've seen more from the offensive perspective. Those are the different movements that we do. And you can practice those kind of outside of class as well. And that'll make for a really great experience when you come into class. And if you're familiar with any of those martial arts, having done them previously, it'll feel very familiar to you. So you'll kind of pick it right back up, but you'll remember a lot of those drills probably of just practicing and holding the kicks like that. Or if you've done boxing and you've used a bag or mitt, you'll get the same idea. So for the different styles of martial arts that we do, we have a few. I mentioned some already, like karate and taekwondo. And each one has its own background, its own country of origin, and its own practice and discipline. And it's really, really interesting to look at the background and history of each one. In taekwondo, what we go for is we think about traveling with our kicks. So going for a little bit of distance, going for that length of the kicks rather than height. Because taekwondo is a very dynamic style of martial arts. If you've ever watched the Olympics or been to a taekwondo class, you will see a lot of times roundhouse kicks done from the back and they come forwards. That's that idea of traveling in the kicks. When we've been in the studio and I've been teaching classes, when I say for like jump kicks, it's going for that distance. You would practice a series of jump kicks traditionally in taekwondo. You would practice a series and try and travel the length of the room with jump kicks. We don't really do that in our classes, but that's kind of where that comes from for taekwondo. And then karate, we've seen a lot of the lower body strikes. We also have a series of blocks that we do, and I can pop up and show you a few of those in just a second. The blocks are meant to be very precise. They have a defined start and stop. So that's very key because it's another defensive movement. With the kicks, again, precision and holding on to a target. So if you pick like a level where you want to kick, so say you're, if you're looking in a mirror and you want to aim for about knee level, and you would just keep repeating that over and over again. And so there's a lot of history that comes with karate, and I highly recommend checking it out. It's really, really fascinating, really interesting. Each of the martial arts, they're all really interesting with their backgrounds and their history. Capoeira comes from Brazil, as I mentioned earlier, and it's actually three different things. It's a martial art that comes from part fight, part game. So that Jenga, that's where the game comes in. You're trying to throw off your opponent. And part dance because it's very rhythmical. And so you'll see elements of all of those three when we bring them into our classes. And it makes for a really fun way to train the legs. A lot of lunges, which are my favorite. Muay Thai, like I mentioned, is the art of 8 limbs. And so what happens there is you'll see the elbows a lot. So we practice those, and the knees, because those are the other 4 limbs that we use. When it comes to the guard, remember, your hands are higher and your hands are more relaxed. So that way you can react more quickly with the elbows. Boxing, a lot of one that people are familiar with. It's a format that I have some background with in terms of just, hitting the heavy bag in the gym. I've also taught pink glove boxing, so it's a martial art that I'm more familiar with and have more background. But really great way to build cardio and strength through that discipline. And using the bag and the mitt, really gives you a sense of where the targets are of each of those upper body strikes. So nose, lip, and chin for jab cross. Hooks can be the jaw. Sometimes you'll see a body hook in a combat class as well, towards the ribs, or with an uppercut, jaw, or even a body uppercut too. So there's a few different ones that we do. But thinking about, sometimes I'll coach, visualize the heavy bag in front of you. And that's something that people will practice with to get not only stamina and endurance and, you know, practice power of their punches, but they also practice where they're hitting on the bag. So you see it in lots of boxing movies too. So the heavy bag and even holding the mitts. If people who've had partner training and they hold the mitts, it gives people another place to do their practice of where they find their targets. So it's really cool style of training because it's blending power and speed all in one. So you'll see that quite frequently in our tracks where we start slow and then we build into the speed. And that's where we get a cardio peak. Kickboxing, including, you'll see that as a kind of we're in tracks where we combine upper and lower body strikes. Very popular class too to take it. You'll see it at a lot of studios, kickboxing, and it often includes kicks that go in multiple directions. So you might have a front kick to a back knee, or you might have a knee to a back kick, lots of different combinations, which also makes for a really fun mental challenge too. So you're really kind of figuring out how you move, how you shift your weight, and to do all of that all at once is it's a really fun mental challenge too, in addition to the physical. So those are just kind of some of the ways we apply the different disciplines of martial arts. And there's a lot more that you could go into. There's a lot more that you can research, and I encourage you to do it. It's something I like to do to keep learning and keep educating myself about the different disciplines, because there's so much history, like thousands of years of history for these martial arts. And so I've just very glossed over the surface of kind of how we use them in class. But it gives you some insight into how the movements that we've gone through and do in class are connected to the different disciplines. And I encourage you to take a look out there if you've seen stuff, online, or that you've read, or even if you've done the disciplines of karate, taekwondo, or any of them, you might you'll remember those tenets as well. And there's a lot more that you can research about the different disciplines, but it's really fascinating. And again, there's so much history. So if you really enjoy history, I recommend doing a little bit more reading up and learning. And when you connect them together, it's really cool to do. So those are the different martial arts. I will get up to do the blocks, because the blocks are something, we don't do them all the time in a combat class, but they're cool to know. And when we add them in together, it really gives you the essence of karate, which is, they call it the art of the empty hand. And so that's what it means in Japanese. So that's where you'll see those elements all come into play. So for blocks, I'll just show you a couple here that we've got. I'm gonna move my chair again. So you'll often see a low, a mid, and a high block. In karate, think low, called Mabu stance. Also sometimes known as horse stance. You also want to make sure when you sink down, you are also tall, upright posturally. It's a very key tenet in karate. You sink down, low block, back the punch to the knee, mid to the shoulder, high block, you are just in front of your face. 1, 2, 3. And again, each one had a precise start and stop. So one thing I encourage you to do when you practice the blocks is really engage the back, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And that'll help with that precision in the blocks. All right. So we talked about the benefits of the class, the moves, a little bit into the martial arts. And again, I encourage you to definitely take a closer look and deeper read into some of the different disciplines if that's of interest to you as well. Lastly, wanted to share a little bit about kind of how I started with body combat and why I really love this program and why I think it's so beneficial. I started my body combat journey about almost 5 years ago. Yeah, almost 5. So about 4.5, give or take. And I was taking it for a little while at a gym, and I really found it empowering. I found it to be a great, not only stress reliever, but it was a really fun and engaging way to do cardio. I'm a weightlifter, what I enjoy doing. I love strength training. And so cardio kind of takes me that little bit more extra, not willpower, but motivation inside to do some cardio. And I found this to be a really exciting and engaging and mentally stimulating way to do cardio. And I also felt like I got some strength there as well. And I also had a really inspiring instructor who encouraged me to go to training. And so went to training about 4.5 years ago, and it's been a really cool journey to keep learning about the format, the program, the martial arts, and bringing it to all of you. It's a program, like I said, that makes you feel really empowered, whether it's the rush of the music or that thrill that you get in a track 8 when you're in that, final cardio and that epic peak that you're going for. And so it's been really cool, and it's been amazing to see the community at CW really grow with body combat and really enjoy it. And so you guys give me a lot of energy when I bring it to you guys, and that's always really rewarding and really inspiring. So it's a big thank you to all of you. So that's a little bit about my journey with body combat. It's been really cool, and this will be coming up almost 20 releases that I'll have for body combat. And it's really cool to bring each new one to you and show you how the program is evolving and really growing. So we just, instructors just got together virtually for a global event, and we got to see some of the latest ones, and I can't wait to bring them to you. So they're really, really cool. They're really, you get a really united feel with this release, which I'm really excited for. So with that, I thank you all for joining me today. Message me with your questions. Let me know how you're doing, how you're progressing in your practice with combat, and also your feedback on all of the classes so far. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. See ya.